Reese, the big superstar rebounder in the WNBA.
Just when you think that there is no more drama left to cover in the WNBA, Angel Reese explodes in a podcast, and everything in the basketball world goes upside down. But did she cross the line this time? Today, we will be focusing on the feud that is rocking the very foundations of the league, on the events surrounding Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and what this will possibly presage for the sport in general. You do not want to miss out because it's tremendous. Angel Reese has always been one of those players who offends the delete on the court as well as in the interviews. This is, however, a change that is very recent as she has crossed boundaries with the launch of a podcast. In the first episode, Reese did not mince her words as she launched an outspoken criticism directed at Clark, a fellow star in the WNBA, and this is why the episode became the talk of social media platforms. Nonetheless, why was Reese so intent on attacking Clark? Was it purely for publicity and to raise the profile for her new podcast, or is there a bigger issue at stake? But she reserves her criticisms about Clark's to about her play, her character, and questions the validity of Clark's, the attention and compliments that have been directed at her. This has riled up fans and other commentators almost similarly. Reese's words have been viewed as an effort to mitigate Clark's accomplishments, arguing that her talent is merely the product of media attention. This line of action has had its support among the fans, as it has ostracized quite a number as well. The time when strangers Reese made their remarks should be a cause for concern. Caitlin Clark has in every stage risen at a rate which has never been seen before, beating all records and even getting herself a company as big as Nike. All that while control of the media management from the lens of controversy is quite normal. The fact that Reese started the podcast with such incendiary remarks marks a desire to in fact be seen as a competing counter strategy to Clark's ever soaring influence. This has, however, not worked so well as the plan is supposed to, for the reason that many people's anger has come out so fast and so high. Clark's fans have taken their anger to social media platforms defending her, as the hashtags of #StandWithCaitlin, #jealousy in sports started trending within a few hours after the release of the podcast. This trending status may reinforce Clark's strong fan support, but paints a dark picture on the reason why Reese peddled in such. Was it an honest criticism or a gimmick for waiting attention? Be it as it may, the situation has undoubtedly heightened the already sore relationship between the two players, and this only marks the beginning of exciting theatrical sagas in the WNBA. The impact of social networks on countering narratives, especially ones that touch on sports, cannot be downplayed, and on the other hand, Angel Reese's statements have sparked a storm of controversy. Almost from the onset following the publication of her podcast, fans were very active on social media in sharing their thoughts on the topic. The reactions have been diverse, as while some supporting fans vindicate Reese and her freedom of speech, others feel that it is just envy and unsportsmanlike behavior. What is particularly surprising in the backlash is the extent to which the fans embrace Caitlin Clark. Many recognize that Spellman has something to say to all that criticism, and for those children, she has allowed herself to be criticized unfairly. A new narrative has then developed wherein a hard-working, talented athlete, Clark, rises through the ranks but becomes a target of an envious rival who is unable to catch up. This has only helped to fortify instead of detract from Clark's image, portraying her as the underdog who is constantly prevailing over the odds. Having a conversation on social media has also given an opportunity to discuss the age-old race and gender issues in sports. Some commentators have argued that the hate that Reese receives may be heightened by some racial difference, especially with respect to the portrayal of black women athletes relative to white women ones. This dimension concerning the media image of athletes has raised some important issues concerning the double standards that exist in sports journalism, especially the coverage of ethnic minority groups in the sport. However, the critic of Reese is not only racially based. Quite a good number of fans and analysts have argued against her outlook, feeling that she lacked integrity as to how she presented her comments. There have been several attempts to destroy her credibility through the accusation that she is trying to capitalize on Caitlin Clark's fame through her podcast. In a society where athletes are being asked to be the perfect person both during the game and after it is over, some people found the method deployed by Reese to be quite disrespectful and fabulous. This social media storm has not abated, and from the SBANH, it is clear that the controversy has tended to be more harm than good for Reese's reputation. As fans have examined her words and reasons more closely, there is a chance that her career may suffer badly. Is it possible that she will survive this storm and be better and stronger than before, or has she lost her fan base beyond redemption? Only time will tell. When one centers on the problematics that ensued following Angel Reese's podcast, there is always the issue of integrity, which remains one of the core concerns. It is a well-known fact that in professional sports, an athlete's image is sometimes valued just as much as their on-court contribution to the game. Hence, to many, there is a concern for Reese's character as her intention to chase Caitlin Clark had not been held back. Does she truly argue the issues, or does she argue it because she feels she was flanked from the bright center of attention? While the relevance of the criticism directed at Ray is that, to put it mildly, it is a sports bitch. Remembering Kintail and sidelines, instead of playing better and further developing her abilities, she depressed the more furnished player with obnoxious memory antics. It's called tantum in most sports, as such conduct is not encouraged, as competition among athletes is meant to be productive and not petty battles to outdo each other. Reese, through the media's public relations machines, has tried to frame herself as a victim, but many of the fans have not accepted this portrayal. Rather than capture supporters, the notion she is trying to sell, that she is the underdog in the situation with Caitlin Clark, misses the target because of a majority who perceive her as already a celebrated lady in athletics. On the spotlight, however, it is a known fact that Reese has indeed focused her share of the limelight, and many argue that this performance dip of her is rather caused more by her than some form of prejudice. Furthermore, this is a type of consciousness that helps women more understand the struggle with imbalance among themselves, which in turn defeats the spirit, dedication, hope to see evolve in the WNBA, where it is her wish to suffer in silence like the rest. Everyone does not sit comfortably and wait for that moment. The evidence now is with mothers, as the reaction they now show to mounting pressure is developing slowly within the population. On the other hand, some of Reese's supporters argue that she is not in the wrong and that her views are acceptable. Such people suppose that Reese is indeed victimized and her claims must be addressed. Also, some believe the furore directed towards her portrays how women, particularly women of color, are guilty of overstepping their boundaries in sports. This perspective adds complexity to the Joshua concept and implies that the issue of the standing of Reese is far from concluded while the arguments rage on. The debate over Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark does not only concern sporting events, it is centered on much larger cultural and racial issues. Immediately following the videos by Reese, even if this was not the intention, the promotion of discussions of basketball shifted towards fairly delicate issues of race, gender, and sports. This has caused the furore around this attention not only to be a WNBA concern, but to be a catalyst in the debate of fairness and equality in the society as a whole. As the dust lifts on the Angel Reese controversy, it has become evident that Caitlin Clark is on an upward trajectory. On the basketball court, her performance has been remarkable and has gained her many fans, helping to crown her as one of the promising WNBA shoots. However, it is not only the performance of her basketball skills that has caught the hearts of fans, but her attitude as well and her behavior in the sport. Clark's endorsement contract with Nike is not just a milestone in her career, but an unprecedented achievement in the history of women's sports. The extremely lucrative endorsement deal not only emphasizes Clark's money-making potential, but also indicates a breakthrough in the perception of women's sports among other sports. For decades, women in sports have faced the challenge of not keeping pace with male counterparts in raking in similar amounts of money, but change is what Clark's success is beginning to create. The situation with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, along with the economic growth and increasing interest in the league, offers a turning point for the WNBA. It is a moment of hesitation and response. What will the league be like in many years, depending on the actions undertaken now? These events brought to the surface some essential and worrying issues, particularly that of player security and the regulation of the game. Caitlin Clark's accounts of her court experiences, especially of the physical nature and attention, well factored in a debate on the protection of players by the league.